Well, here's a video that might be interesting for some people out there. Maybe you pay money in an academy to prepare you for the SAT exam, and you start off at a certain level. They give you a level test when you begin, and you imagine you're advancing as you go along. There's an exam at the end of every 2 months or so. And logically, if you fail the exam, your parents might take you out and put you in a different academy. That's normally what happens. And the academies do not want to lose the money. So how do they make sure everyone passes? Well, one thing is to be a very good teacher. But what they usually do, and this is a little dirty secret of the business, is they have false certificates and false books. How that works is that, let's say you start off at a level, let's call it 4 in math, and you pay money to get up to level 8. At a certain period of time, let's say 6-7 weeks, you should be taking the exam for level 5, and you should pass it. Now, if you fail it, and the academy says you failed it, probably you're going to go across the street to the competition. What they do normally is they will give you their own exam of the house and lie to you and tell you you've passed. And then naturally you'll want to go up to level 5. Then they will have a group of people who are in level 5, but it's really level 4 again. The book is different than the previous level 4 book. It's quite different than the level 5 book. And they lie to you basically and give you the illusion that you've passed and you've moved up to the higher level, because the book you have now says level 5. And the group you're in is level 5. And everyone in that group probably was in your class previously. They were all maybe at your level, at the bottom of the class. But for some miracle, you all passed, and now you're doing level 5. But in fact, you're actually doing level 4 all over again. The editorial, the book company, makes a book that says level 5, but it's really level 4 all over again. It's very different than the other level 4 book. It's not the same book. And this is what they do generally in order to just keep moving you up and up and up. This way they don't lose you and they don't lose the money. The same thing happens here in Murcia or Madrid with English. When kids come for English classes, they pay an academy, let's say $800 a month for classes, and they start off preparing an exam, let's call it level B2. B2 is like 80 over 100, okay? And the exam is in the future, maybe in June. After a few months, maybe 2 months, that's a couple of months, not a few months, there's an exam given to you by the house, the academy, and everyone passes it. Because if you fail it, your parents will take you across the street to the competition. So every kid in the class, even the idiot, the one everyone knew would fail, passes that exam. Then they are regrouped for the next trimester, and miraculously, you are now in the next group. You have a new book. It's called The Next Level, and it's very different than the book you used before. But in fact, it's the same level. You're just repeating it, but they wouldn't dare give you the same book, and they wouldn't dare call it level 4 again. They call it level 5, and then you'll go to 6 and 7. At the end, of course, you'll fail the exam, and they don't care at that point in time, because if you pass, you're leaving anyway. You're going to go. So at the end, you'll fail, and they'll say you got nervous. Now, this happens in 2 subjects, English and math, which is basically the SAT test. How do I know this? Because I'm one of the people who creates the test. I'm a teacher of the test, and I'm a corrector of the test. And I know the way the academies work. I know the way their formulas work for business. Okay? The way their business works is that they don't want to lose anybody who could continue there and pay. In the old days, I remember they would give these official exams. They'd bring them into the house and give them, and the official people would correct them, and half the kids failed. So then the owner of the school or the teacher would say, you better try again, we'll repeat the class. And some kids would repeat. Most of them said, goodbye, I'll go to the competition, if there was competition. And then someone had the brilliant idea that, let's not bring in the official exam from outside. Let's have our own test, okay? The incremental test that leads us to the official exam at the end. Let's use our own incremental exam, not the official incremental exam. And let's make sure everybody passes, at least with a 65. Then those who really deserve to fail are in a specific room. Now, you might notice when you're in that room, you had all the dummies from the previous trimester. But for some reason, you all passed. Not one failed, okay? You're all the people with you are the dummies who really did very poorly, who failed a lot of stuff last trimester. But for some reason, you all passed the exam, and you've all been promoted to the next level. But in fact, the book you have, it's quite different than the book you used to have, but a lot of the material is pretty similar. You notice that, don't you? Well, in fact, you're just repeating the class again, and you might do it 3 or 4 times. This way, the academy doesn't lose the money. What's the solution to this problem? Simple. Parents, go on Amazon or any webpage and try to buy copies of the exam that you're preparing for, the incremental exam. If you're here and you want to prepare an SAT in math or English, there are SAT exams you can download right off the net, and you can just keep taking them. And they're real exams. They're multiple choice, so you don't need anyone to help you. And you can see that you're failing. You can tell your kid, you've been passing all along in the academy where I pay $800 a month, but I just gave you an exam right off the net and you failed it. You failed 3 of them. How can it be? Now go talk to the academy and say, how is it possible my daughter passed the first trimester, the second trimester, the next trimester, but here I give her an exam that I downloaded and she failed it. How is that possible? They'll tell you she got nervous. Okay, but that's the way you control the academy. Don't trust the person you pay the money to tell you if you're advancing. Don't trust those people. There must be a control of quality that's external, something outside where you can know what's going on. When my son was studying German, he had a private teacher by internet, and they were just moving along. And one day I said I'd like him to prepare this exam called C1. C2 is like a native level, C1. And I said, here's a copy of the exam. I gave it to the teacher and said, prepare my kid for this test. He should pass this test in about 18 months. Well, I said to the professor, if he fails it or passes it, either way, he's done with you. So you have my money for the next 18 months. But I wanted to know how things were going. So after like 2 or 3 months, I said, how are things going? And he said, I gave your son an exam, and he did pretty well, and he's doing okay. But I said, wait a minute, I have my own exam. I have my own exam that I downloaded off the internet, and this is more or less the level he's at right now, and this is where he should pass. So I gave him the exam, and he failed it. My son failed it. I showed it to the professor. I said, I don't know how he's passing yours and failing mine, but, something smells rotten here. And I think the professor knew at that time that I wasn't an idiot. I wasn't naive, that I'm going outside the circle, not to him, and I'm getting outside quality control. And once he saw that, he knew he better get his shit together and not lie anymore. So at that point in time, he started to teach, let's say, better and in a different way. And suddenly my son was learning a lot more. And that is what you have to do as a parent. You have to tell the professor, I'm going to control you. I have you by the balls. I'm going to give my kid every couple of months an exam that I'm going to find on the internet to see if he's really advancing. I'm not going to trust you. Okay? I'm not going to trust you. And that's what you got to do if your kid goes to a big academy of groups or has private classes online or presential. That is what I did with my son and daughter for German. And as an SAT professor, I know what goes on out there. I know there are lots of academies that miraculously nobody fails during the entire year, maybe from the middle of 11th grade till the middle of 12th grade, including the summer. Nobody fails. Everyone is advancing, going up the ladder. From 1,100 all the way to 1,600. 1,600 is the top score. They're going up very nicely, and then at the end, half of them fail. They get very low scores, and the school will tell you they got nervous. Bullshit. Okay, these kids never had that 1350 you told their parents they had. They weren't advancing very much. You're just lying to the parents, giving exams that are multiple choice. You're not returning the exams. You keep them secret. You hide them, and you just tell the kids their grades. And that's all. That's what a lot of academies do. And at the end, kids fail the test. I've seen it happen. It's multiple choice exams in many cases. And if you give the kids back the real exam, they'll realize they failed. So they don't. They just call the parents on the phone and say, congratulations, your daughter, whatever her name is, Shoshana or Enrique or Glenn or Susan passed the exam. We're now up to 1350 on the SAT. It used to be 1200. Now it's 1350. 2 months later, it's 1410. But this is all a lie. They're just making this up as they go along because the parents feel proud. They keep paying the academy. So the key is tell the academy, look, my kid took an exam at home on Sunday and wiped out. I don't know what you're talking about with 1410. He had a 1270. He's hardly improved since he's been here. Then the academy's getting nervous because you know how to control the thing. And keep doing that. Find on the internet real quality control that is external. If you want any information about where to find external quality control exams for the SAT in math or English, get me at Levi Hello on Skype, okay? But my job is to help people pass these exams. It's not to help academies make money, okay? When I prepare kids for the SAT exam, I use real SAT exams religiously. That's all I use. Incremental real SAT exams that you can take them home and do them. And it's a real exam. I have no control. The parents have the correct answers. It's multiple choice. And they know if I'm doing a good job or not. They tell me my kid failed. You suck. And goodbye. And I lose the money. I don't want to lose the money. So I'm going to do a pretty good job. All right, take it easy. And don't be scammed by these academies of English or the SAT exams.